Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Healing Vibrations. This is the show where we aim to change the perspective of illness, to see if we really can see it as a gift. And today I'm really excited to be joined by the wonderfully patient, if nothing else, Julia Paulette Hollenbery. And I met Julia, who is an author. She is an expert in health, happiness, joy and relationships, and she's written an amazing book which I'm part the way through, The Healing Power of Pleasure. And this really talked to me, and I met Julia we were working with the same coach, and I was really excited about her work and wanted to bring her on and share her work with my audience. So thanks for joining me, Julia, and thanks for being here. And yeah, tell us a bit more about this book, because can I just, before you tell us about the book, there's one line that I've underlined, even though I haven't read it all, but really, really spoke to me. And this is right at the beginning of the book, and it talks about your different medicines. And it says, the work of healing oneself is a detective story, tracking down the missing pieces of information and energy we need. And I think that really spoke to me, that line. I've underlined it in red, and I don't do that very often in books, because I'm on that I'm in the middle of my own detective story. So, and I'm sure a lot of our listeners are as well. So tell us a little bit about where you came up with that concept, and how it led to you creating this book.
Well, perhaps like many people, my life has not been easy. So knowing that there was more for me, I set out on what has been an incredible transformational journey across decades, counties, continents, and countries. I was well, my story is that I was born traumatized. And so I've had to piece the pieces together, and it's taken a long time, and it has been rich and rewarding. All my life, I knew that I would one day write a book, and I am so very pleased that despite the ups and downs of life, I have made it. Yeah. The book is written and internationally published. Yay. It is meant to be so. So for those of us who feel hurt or feel suffering or feel that life is really difficult or don't feel that we fit into the ordinary mold, the way that it seems most people are living. Yes, absolutely. It is an opportunity to uncover who we really are. And it's not the easiest thing. It doesn't happen overnight.
No.
But it's a journey well worth taking.
Yes, I'd agree with that. But I don't know about yourself, but certainly for me, it comes to a point where it's like I haven't really got any choice. It right. feels like when it feels too hard, you just have to have a little nap.
So when I agree, I'm a big fan of naps. So one of the main messages of what I've written is to let people know that whatever it is that they are struggling with, it is absolutely possible to heal and to thrive. Whatever it is possible to heal and thrive. And the ingredients that are necessary are things like determination, having enough fuel for the journey, yes. enough motivation, yes. kindness to oneself. You said naps, right? Enough self-love to allow oneself to be as one is and needs to be. Mm-hmm. And courage, because it's not easy. It's not simple. It's not It's not nothing to set out on the great transformational journey of healing oneself. Can at times be uncomfortable, less uncomfortable perhaps than the difficulty, but uncomfortable nonetheless. The courage is required to face stuff.
It's like it's stepping into an unknown space, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's also because I talk a lot about when you go to the doctor and you're diagnosed with some horrible long-term thing. The prognosis is not very good. You've got this incurable thing that's probably going to get worse, and then there's nothing that you can do about it. But then when you realize that there are things that you can do about it, which is yay, we have got control. But then you've got to get, then what things can we do that are within our control? And yeah, you've written a book really explaining some of the things that people could use as some of the tools, really effectively, isn't it? You've called them medicines in your book, but they're tools, and yeah, exactly, medicines as well. So
well, I call them inspirational ideas and transformational practices, meaning that we often need to open our minds, grasp, understand a concept, and then practice and embody it and become it. So yeah, it's there is a lot that we can do to help ourselves.
Yes, I think that's so rare. Yeah, there is.
Tremendous amounts. Yeah.
So, and like I said, I've not gone all the way through. So the first tool, if you like, the first medicine that you offer is the slowing down piece, isn't it?
Well, the very first thing is to look at the mess that the world is in and that many of us may feel that we are in as individuals. Mm-hmm. And to recognize that being in a mess is part of the human condition. It's not unusual, it's ordinary. And it's okay.
Yeah.
And then I talk about magic, the hope.
Yeah.
The hope.
I think that's massive, isn't it? Because if we have hope, then and that's what these podcasts are all about, really, is giving people hope. Because if one person can do it and find a way, then we all can. But we have to, as you said, to find our own way, don't we?
For each person, the journey is different.
Yes.
Absolutely. And then there are 7 paradigm shifting, practical, spiritual medicines. And they are slow body depth, relationship, pleasure, power, and potency. And slowing down is the first one. We live, obviously, in this crazy, mad, highly pressurized civilization, where everything, it seems, needs to be done fast. And most of us are on this adrenalized go, where we think we've got to get everything done as quickly as possible. But there is so much benefit to be gained from slowing down. And when we don't listen, of course, our bodies often make us slow down, whether it's an illness or an accident. Life can intervene to make us pause and slow down and interrupt the overwhelm.
Yeah, and well, you're right. And although I've had conversations with my MS, and that's what it's telling me to slow down, I'm still not very good at actually doing it. And I love the way you even speak quite slowly, because that in itself just makes everything more calmer, doesn't it?
So what's difficult for you about slowing down? I'm really curious. Because I know that you get it. I know that you really enjoy the slow section of what I've written, for example. So let's just explore it, if you're up for that, just for a moment. Yeah. What is it?
Absolutely.
How can I support you to slow down more? In what ways do you know that slowing down would be good for you?
I reckon that the metaphor that comes to mind is being on a hamster wheel, 100
Right.
miles an hour, 100 miles an hour.
Mm.
And I recognise that we would enjoy life more if it was just 1 mile an hour. We'd still be going forward, we'd still be moving, but we'd be able to see things better. We wouldn't be exhausted. And another thought that came to me with the idea of if our life journey is like a trip around the world, would we want to do it really quickly, or would we want to do it really slowly and check out and explore every single country that we go through? And so of course we'd want to do it slowly. So I can see how slowing down just is more relaxing and more enjoyable. But somehow when it comes to doing it, I think it's the ever driver for want to be earning money is there, definitely. Rattling on, yeah, but you need to do. So not trusting, I think that's probably it, not trusting.
So I have this sense that deepening our conversation, deepening into slow, might really be what's most useful to you and your listeners. So I wanted to say something about slow, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Go.
I wanted to say something about slow being interrupting the habit of going fast in the first instance. Interrupting the non-stop thoughts, the non-stop action. It's interrupting that habit to take a productive pause. And I think very often we're scared to pause because we fear that nothing will get done. We fear collapse, right? And stasis. But my experience, and you can check it out for yourself, is that when we pause, actually it's even more efficient because we are in better contact with ourselves. When we're rushing around like headless chickens.
Yes. Well, we saw earlier, didn't we, when mistakes are made and things don't feel easy, I guess. It feels like we're chasing our tail, trying to catch the bus that's already left.
Like a headless chicken.
A bit like a headless chicken.
But when we slow down, we can reconnect with our body and with our wisdom and with our pleasure. And we stand a better chance of healing, having better conversation and communication with other people, and doing better, more focused, more efficient work.
Yes.
So slowing is the medicine of uniting, if you like, the speed of thoughts with the speed of the body, so that the mind and the body can be more in the same tempo. Very often the body is still, we're sitting still for hours on end, staring into our computers, and the mind is whirring and whirling. So there's something about bringing them both together, uniting into the same or a similar tempo that in and of itself is healing, bringing mind and body together.
I can definitely see that. As I'm sitting here quite still, I can hear like a ringing, and that I don't know if you ever get that, but when you get really quiet and still, there's something.
I call it the sound of silence. Sometimes, exactly, and the stillness is palpable in our conversation now, right?
Yeah.
The quality of stillness and the sound of it is pleasing. It is now accompanying us. Nice. So we have made a shift. You have made a shift. I wonder if listeners will also be invited into. And I notice you're smiling, right? So it's satisfying and relaxing and pleasing to be in this slower tempo.
It is.
It's not collapse.
No. I do tend to go at a high energy, high, talk at 100 miles an hour and race from one thing to another thing.
Our civilization does.
Mm.
We're encouraged to, but
Yes.
I don't know that it's healthy for us.
I would say it's definitely not healthy for us. It is, there is more people living with long-term illnesses than ever before. And the research that I did on autoimmune diseases for the thing that I was doing was that by the time we reach the age of 50, you've got a 1 in 8 chance of being diagnosed, and these figures aren't easy to come by. So it's probably more.
Yeah. I think that when we're rushing around, there's no time to, for example, think really about what we're going to eat, or how we're going to eat, or I can give many other examples, right? But even that is pleasing. It's pleasing to come back to ourselves. And what I have learned from my tremendous odyssey of healing that has encompassed many modalities is that in the end, coming back to ourselves again and again and again, coming back to wholeness is the best resource we can give ourselves for healing of any kind, physical or emotional. And that is the journey that I take people on, that I invite people to travel in my book and in my classes and retreats. Coming back. And it's, of course, one of those phrases, we could say it's easy to say, right? Quick to say. We can all understand it. But exactly as you said earlier about slowing down, is that we know the answers. Yeah. We know what we're supposed to do, but actually doing them is not always easy, despite ourselves, right? Because we're run by these unconscious habits and patterns. And being able to interrupt them or shift them is really, really useful. Healing matters.
Yeah, it does. And I talk about the illness being a gift. And I think for what it's given me and what it's given to a lot of people that I speak to is it's almost forcing people, like you say, when you get an illness or you have an accident, you're forced to slow down, you're forced to stop. And COVID has done that for the world a little bit, hasn't it? But again, it's that opportunity to and people have found, haven't they don't want to go back to their old jobs after COVID. They don't want to go back in the office and do the grind of whatever they were doing.
Well, 4 hours a day commuting is no fun.
No, it's not.
Why?
Yeah.
So it has been an opportunity to reevaluate. Yeah. They call it the healing crisis. You know, when we get unwell or we have an accident, when we trip over and break something, when we have a breakdown, it's a healing crisis. And we have to mobilize our energy in response in order to heal. It doesn't happen by itself. It needs a container and it needs energy. actually, for the healing to take place.
So in order for healing to fully take place, then slowing down is essential, isn't it?
It's the first medicine.
Yeah.
And again, slowing down doesn't mean doing nothing all day long.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that. It's a rare quality in our modern world.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
It's prioritizing the importance of oneself, self-love, self-care.
Yes, and that's quite an interesting one, because a lot of people that I speak to with MS or ME, that tends to be a lot of people that come through my world.
Mm.
And I ask them, where are you on your priority list? And yeah, so some people don't even make the priority list, let alone up the top. And that is a difficult one for a lot of people to readjust, isn't it? And make yourself a priority, and to be able to communicate that with love.
Yeah. And we're also not looking to become obsessed with ourselves, right? It's not all about me. Yes, healing ourselves and still being in good relationship with other people and the world, being respectful and considerate of other people in the world. One of the dangers, I think, on the healing journey is to become really over precious about oneself.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a phase, and it's part of the journey. It's part of learning to prioritize oneself again. But it's not about being self-involved. It's about healing oneself so that one can take part in the dance of life as one cell in equality with other cells in the world, in the body of life.
That's nice. I'm imagining there we're all having a dance, and the body of life, because we're all here on this planet at the same time, I guess, for a reason. We are all connected, aren't we? In some way, we're all standing on the same earth.
And everybody's journey is different. Everybody's challenges are different. And everybody's healing journey is different. And just because so-and-so or such and such is good for your friend doesn't necessarily mean that that will be good for you.
Mm-hmm.
So the healing journey is a lot about reclaiming self-authority and finding out for yourself exactly what works for you. That's important.
Yes, yeah, it is important, and yeah, I'm definitely still learning that. But you know, the journey's not meant to be a quick one, as we said.
It takes a lifetime.
Yeah,
it takes a lifetime
yeah.
to become who we are.
Yeah. It's I've sort of changed things up for me about 7 years, when I think it was about realizing that I could do something, that I didn't just have to sit here and wait for stuff to get worse, that there were things that were totally in my control. In fact, there's loads that's totally with my control, which is what my whole program is all about, looking at all the different areas that we can control, which is powerful. But then, like you say, knowing where to start. And sometimes you take some journeys and you reach some dead ends. It's not to say it wasn't not a good thing to do, but yeah, it still gets frustrating sometimes when you're like, no, I've got to go all the way back and all the way back around again.
All the different pieces feed in. It's always one journey. So the way that I work is with this signature system of the 7 medicines, and they are a pathway. So again, slow, body, depth, relationship, pleasure, power, and potency. They are a pathway.
Cool.
For this piece of the healing journey, this piece of coming back to self and back to body, becoming empowered and embodied, using one's sensitivity and sensuality and intuition, instinctual intelligence, to know what is the best decision to take, what's the next best step to take. Is it to go here or here?
I remember when I first decided to come off the medication that was being offered to me, when I started this healing journey and I learned about the mind-body connection. And of course, it's not an easy decision to make, because I wrote a whole poem around it. It took me months to get into a place of, I feel like I'm in the right, I feel like I've made the right decision for me. And then somebody came along and questioned me in such a way that just threw me off my kilter altogether and totally second guessed myself. And now I don't feel like that. Now I feel very secure in my decision for me at this point in time, and know it's always changeable. So I'm definitely learning how to listen to that intuition that you talked about, that inner knowledge that's there, and trusting it as well, because I think that's it. We can make a decision and then spend loads of energy around, oh, is it the right thing, am I being stupid, how did it do? Well, yeah, lots of stuff coming up for me. But it was an interesting, I look back at it now and just remember how much energy I spent worrying about whether I was making the right decision or not. And it does feel massive, doesn't it? Sometimes it can do.
Staying true to oneself is, again, right? It's a practice. Yeah. It's a practice and a skill to be able to tune in to what's really right for us in this moment.
Mm.
And it's a great superpower that we have. It's worth learning how to listen to it. And we do have to struggle with ideas from the outside, whether that's within our own mind or things that other people say. We have to find our way through to listening to that still voice that tells us, go here or do this. It nudges us. Not always in words. Sometimes it's just a bodily impulse to go and do something. But that kind of inner wisdom is invaluable. It can save our lives. It's I guess it's the way that I've lived my life. Everyone who knows me knows that I live according to my instincts.
Mm-hmm.
I used to cross roads by instinct. I've got lots of stories around this, of finding flats when I was looking for a flatmate, or avoiding unseen objects that were falling from above, or got many examples. Knowing which therapist, or as you say, which course of medication is the right one to take.
So sorry.
No, I just was going to say, and it feels good, you know, when one listens in and takes the right steps forward, it feels good, right? Like, you know, with this kind of inner confidence that we're doing the right thing, and that feels good. That is satisfying, as well as it being good for us and healing and whatever else, right?
Well, it also means that there's a whole load of energy that I'm not spending on second guessing myself and worrying whether it's the right or the wrong thing. It's just, this is where I'm going right now, and this feels right for me, and I feel 100% with that, no matter what comes. And sort of like this person that I spoke to before, it just totally flummoxed me, really. It sent me off in a spiral, because he was caring and thoughtful and had a different idea to what I was doing.
I think it's very easy for us to be triggered into self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And it's useful to have a pathway again for coming back to oneself and back to that sense of, yes, this is the right way forward for me right now. This is my truth. This feels good. It feels right. I'm going this way.
Yeah. So have you always been like this, or, you know, from a child, or was there something that changed the way you were, if you like, in your life?
I'm pretty kinesthetic. I think that also the birth trauma interrupted, if you like, my logical thinking process. And so I've always trusted my body wisdom, having a felt sense about people
Mm-hmm.
and places. And I have trusted it. Yeah.
And that's right from you don't remember it being any different.
It's my way. It's definitely my way. And I think because I didn't have the capacity to strategize or logicalize, because, if you like, there was a kind of brain damage,
Mm-hmm.
I learned to rely on this kind of body wisdom. And the way that I operate, even now when I'm speaking, I'm translating upwards all of the time from my body into words. So most people, I think, operate the other way. Right. They are top down, right? Operate. We think that it's the head that's leading. It's the head that can solve all the problems. It's the head or the mind that can come up with answers. So it's been my life experience, yes, to learn to listen deeply to the wisdom of my body. But I also think that it is the way forward for everybody, because everybody's body contains this tremendous wisdom.
Mm. Yeah.
And everyone can learn to listen into it. It is slower. It is slower.
Yeah, because you have to listen. And I suppose
go on.
I was saying,
it's also faster in another way.
Well, yeah, because you're making decisions that are, you're not headless chickening, you're not scattering around, you're actually being more purposeful. And I guess as somebody that's starting new, we've always been attached to our body, and but we're never really taught to listen to our bodies in any way, shape or form. We don't go to a doctor's and the doctors suggest, we don't go to school, they suggest, unless we've got quite awakened parents, then maybe it's just not in our world, is it, that we listen to our body. I think it's becoming more now, but I don't know whether that's just the circles that I'm hanging out in now. It's a bit more, we listen to our bodies because our bodies can speak.
Yeah, again, I think it's in the culture that we are distracted upon distraction upon distraction, taken ever further away from being in contact with ourselves and our bodies, where our pleasure and our wisdom lie. That, yes, there's the speed and the pressure and the distractions from other people's judgments and opinions, and of course all the blah blah on our devices, right, and the news and this and that. So to return to our bodies is a revolutionary act. To return to trusting our own wisdom is revolutionary. It's not a small thing, and it is something that we need to practice, because we are not taught, encouraged, invited to notice how our feet are, or our nose is, or our shoulder is. And again, that's all what I've been writing and teach. It's time to come back, come back, come back. And it makes us smile, right, as we're talking about it. It's plain fun. I care about it a lot because it matters.
Yeah. I think you're right, and definitely when we first met, and you just reigniting that, really, to say there was something that even just the title of the book, I think, is, I don't know about everybody else, but I know that I don't spend enough time with myself with pleasure. Just me on me. I will make time for my boyfriend, and we will spend quality time with no devices and all that, but actually me on me, I don't very often. And by the time I do, I'm usually like, oh yeah, it's so nice, just then I'm gone. So yeah.
Again, we live in this punitive, punishing world where we think we've got to suffer first before we can have enjoyment. And it's all that speed and punishment that leads to the dis-ease. Pleasure doesn't have to be something dramatic. It can be just as simple as having a delicious meal, or a fabulous shower or bath or walk, or brushing your hair, right? Or putting your face cream on. Just taking a few minutes to really look at yourself in the mirror and put your face cream on can become nourishing moments of deliciousness. Brushing your teeth can become a pleasure. That's a personal favourite of mine. But it's also a choice. Choosing to have a bit of fun, a bit of pleasure, something delightful. As a source of nourishment, first thing in the day, before you begin your meeting, rather than, as you were saying, at the end, last thing on the to-do list is me. You know, as a mum, when I'm in a good place, if I'm in a good place, my daughter will thrive.
Mm.
And it's the same, of course, for all aspects of our lives. When we're in a good place, our work thrives, our relationships thrive. So the taking care of self is not really selfish. The gifting of a little bit of delicious pleasure is not really selfish, but sensible. I see you absolutely lit up in response to what I'm saying. I'm like so keen and like, yes,
because this is
permission.
Yeah.
Permission.
It's you're talking my language, really, but you're living it and embodying it, I think, more than me, because you're just further on the journey than I am, and I'm still learning to practice it and bringing it more into my life, and I'm definitely doing that. I'm a different person to what I was 7 years ago, massively, the way that I think and the way that I am, and certainly the way that where I am in my priority list is, I know now, I've got a lot better idea now what makes me happy, what I enjoy, and I'm able to say no to people.
And yes, as well, right?
Well, yeah, this is it. And it's not like I say no a lot, to be fair, but when I did have a little twinge of guilt with my son the other day, but not for long, because yeah.
In a way, again, lifetime work, right? Learning, I mean, no comparison. We're all discovering, in a way, how to best operate ourselves, how to optimize or make the most of this opportunity of being alive in a body on the earth. To enjoy ourselves in a healthy way, not hurting anybody else, not grabbing the pleasure at the expense of anybody else, but quietly, in a dignified way, with integrity, consideration and respect for others and for ourselves, because, as the old adverts used to say, you deserve it. We deserve it.
Yes, we do.
We deserve it. And at the core is that each of us is precious and valuable and worthy of receiving love and attention and pleasure and being powerful, not in a show-offy way or a dominant way, but being powerful in, this is who I am. And this is what I need, yes. And this is what I don't need. No, thank you. Alignment is healthy, brings vitality.
So if there was somebody that is on the start of their healing journey, and when I say the start, for me, it will be around that time where you're ready to take responsibility for yourself, and you're ready to look at different ways of being, ready to have your mind opened a little bit to maybe changing what you thought was changing your reality. And for people who are on the start, are ready to and eager to move forward, but like, where do I even start? What will be a great starting place? That's somebody, a tangible thing, that a tool that they could take away and use in their day-to-day life.
I would really say to pause.
So to do that then, because as we're talking now, we'll remember we're really talking slow, we'll remember to slow down, but then tomorrow another day starts. So how can we remind, is it as simple as just setting a reminder on your phone to stop?
On one level, yes. I would say sense the body. We can do a little bit now if you would like.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do it.
So we're going to bring our attention back to body. So I'm going to invite you to sense your right arm, the whole of your right arm, your hand, your wrist, your palm, the back of your hand, your fingers, your forearm, your elbow, your upper arm and your shoulder, the whole of your right arm. Just notice it. Just sense it and feel it exactly as it is right now. Your right arm. The whole of your right arm. It's like sensing it from the inside of the limb. The three-dimensional physicality of your right arm. And now we'll bring our attention to our right leg. So you can feel your right foot where it touches the ground. Or maybe it's against the chair, the sole of your foot, your heel, your toes, your ankle, the arch of your foot, the top of your foot. Sensing, noticing, feeling, being aware of the whole of your right foot. And now notice your lower leg, your right lower leg, your calf, your shin, your knee, the back of your knee, and your thigh. Big, chunky muscles of the thigh. And the hip bone. The length of your right leg, the whole of your right leg. Just sensing and noticing your right leg. Feeling your right leg, your right leg right now. And now we're going to move the attention to the left leg, to your left foot, the whole of your left foot, your heel and ankle, the ball of your foot, the arch of your foot, your toes, top of your foot, the whole of your left foot. And moving up your leg, your lower leg, your calf, and your shin, and your knee. Sensing your left foot and your left lower leg, and now including your left thigh. Sense the whole of your left thigh. A big, chunky thigh, and your hip bone. Sensing the whole of your left leg. The whole of your left leg. And now bringing your attention to your right, no, to your left arm, to your left hand. Perhaps it's resting on your leg, or on the table, or on the chair. Sensing your left palm. And each of your fingers, your little finger and your ring finger, and your middle finger and your forefinger and your thumb. Really sensing and feeling the whole of your left hand. Your palm and the back of your hand and your wrist. And now moving up to your left lower arm and your wrist and your elbow and your left upper arm. Include in your awareness your left upper arm. Sensing the whole of your left arm. And now just bring your attention to both arms and to both legs. Sensing both arms and both legs. And I'm curious to know how they feel. Maybe there's some tingliness or some aliveness in your arms and legs right now. Maybe some warmth. So I'm curious, Gina, how are you doing? How are your arms and legs right now?
Well, so I think I went in and out of a little, a little space there. It's interesting, isn't it? When you bring your awareness to different parts of your body, you can actually feel them. You can actually feel sort of tingling, I guess. And I noticed that when I practice, I haven't done a practice quite like that. When I focus on each part of the body, I tend to, body, what part is shouting the loudest,
right,
if you like, and that's not necessarily pain, because I don't really suffer from pain, but my legs are usually the biggest shouters. They have the most energy. They feel like that when I'm now, they're like, hey, what about me? You're focusing on your arms. My legs are shouting about. And it's weird because it's not unpleasant, but it's very, I can definitely feel lots going on.
So you've got heightened awareness now of your legs?
Yes, it feels like that.
And do they need anything, your legs? Do you need to stand up or drum your legs, or just stretch out your legs and stretch your feet in front of you?
I think I need to take my shoes off.
Or are they just fine? Oh, you need to take
your
shoes off.
I need to take my shoes off. Rushing from one thing to another so we can get... Yes, that's better. And I have been doing a lot more walking with bare feet as well.
Lovely.
Yes, especially this weather. It's beautiful, isn't it?
So I can give you lots more practices of good things to do in a pause.
Wow. Yes.
But the main thing I would say in a pause, you know what I'm going to say, right? Is to come back to sensing your body. Doesn't matter which way that you do it. Can be, stretching and raising your hands, or dancing, or kickboxing or walking, doesn't really matter. But in a pause, come back to the body.
Pause, come back to the body. Yeah. Because I think that is something that will benefit everybody, whether they're on we're all on a healing journey a little bit, I think, aren't we? There's always something, even if we're not fully conscious of it or even focusing on it at the moment. And this sort of work is beneficial for everybody, not just people who are suffering, I guess, with some sort of ailments and symptoms that they're not enjoying. So thank you so much, Julia. I can't believe we've come to the end of our hour together.
Hour.
I will be sharing all your links in the commentary bit with the post. But is there anywhere particularly you want to direct people to, or if they want to get in touch or find out more about what you do?
My website is called theuniverseofdeliciousness.com. theuniverseofdeliciousness.com. And Gina's laughing because the whole of the book is written, all of my work is a journey into the universe of deliciousness, which is, that's nice. I'll just say a couple of words if that's okay, which is this subtle, sensitive, spiritual realm known by mystics throughout the centuries. There is an abundance of pleasure possible for us all, a great deal more than most of us usually live. So universeofdeliciousness.com. My book is The Healing Power of Pleasure.
There we go. Yeah.
And that's available everywhere.
Lovely.
And of course, I'm on social media. Blah, blah.
Well,
and I'm curious, how do you feel after our time together?
Actually, it's because before we met, I'd come from my first rowing class, so I was quite zinged up with that, and I'd driven a long way, and I was tired. But now actually I feel more relaxed, yet I feel more energized. Great. So yeah, so thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience and yeah, thank you for sharing some of your wisdom with us. It's been an absolute joy.
Thank you for inviting me, Gina, and may the whole world be healed person by person.
Yeah, absolutely. By sharing and caring.
Yeah. So you're doing great work. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. See you next time.